So I'm the co-founder of Exit Ammat Company, which situates in Nurmes, North Karelia. Who we are tour operator, travel agency. We offer accommodation at our own guest house, Pihlajapuu, and then we also offer guide services. And the best known product of us is the guest house tours. In winter, skiing from guest house to guest house, and in summer, biking, canoeing, and Finnish cuisine tour. And we call ourselves also the Green Finn tour operator. Our guests come 90% from Germany, UK, and Belgium, and 10% from Finland. And I'm now talking about our guest house, Pihlajapuu. In the travel agency, we also have a lot more Finnish guests who stay one day eating at our guest house or taking, for example, a small guiding tour in Nurmes. So during the years 2020-21, we had it opposite. We had 90% from Finland and 10% from abroad. But this winter, we already started to getting more and more tourists, guests from abroad, and we had 91 Finns and 71 guests from abroad. But if you count the overnight stays, so we had 91 overnight stays from Finns and 422 overnight stays from our foreign guests. So the average length of an overnight stay for our foreign guests is about 6 days, 6 nights. We have quite a few of certificates. It's not just gathering as many.
Sorry, Minna, to interrupt, yes. But the screen is not moving. We're still seeing the initial picture at the start.
Do
you want me to share it from this end instead?
Sorry?
Do you want me to share the presentation from here?
Yes, you can do it because for me everything is fine here. But
sure. So if you stop sharing for me.
Okay, I'll stop sharing. It's perhaps the connection. It's not so good from this part at the moment.
Is that where you were? Oh. Right.
Okay, the certificate part. So I can continue. We have had the tour certificate since 2011. It's corporate social responsibility, and it's because we mostly operate in the German market, so it's a German certificate. And last year, we also joined the Sustainable Travel Finland program, and we have had this STF certificate since 2021. And because we are nowadays also a hostel, we have this Hosteling International Quality and Sustainability Certificate. Next slides, please. We are members of Forum Anders Reisen. The Forum Anders Reisen is founded in 1998, and we are actually one of the founders of this association. And to this association, there are 130 members of tour operators and travel agencies, for mostly in German-speaking market. Next, please. Then we also belong to responsibletravel.com. They have been pioneers in more authentic and sustainable holidays since 2001. And they say that the traveling responsibly can't, of course, fully compensate for the environmental impacts of flying. And they therefore stopped offering carbon offset as a company over 10 years ago, and they no longer promote carbon offset schemes on the product pages of their operators. Instead, encouraging the operators to discuss the ways in which they can actively reducing carbon on their trips. Next slide. But we, however, we do the compensation, the carbon offset, because as a member of Forum Andersreisen, we must have this TourCert corporate social responsibility certificate, and we do offset at least of our business tours by plane. And the compensation of our flying guests go through atmosphere.de. Next, please. During the 2 years now in the studies made of how COVID-19 has influenced of our need for education, many people mentioned that we need training of ethical know-how, and biggest sources of CO2 emissions are aviation, accommodation, and food. And we do not sell flights. Mostly our guests, they do come by plane to the nearest airport because of they do not stay so long time. But we sell accommodation and food, and these are a big part of our program actually. Next, please. So our advice, fly less and make it count. Take fewer but longer holidays by air, reducing the number of flights, and switch short breaks from plane to train, as well as being better for the planet. This way of traveling is more relaxing and enjoyable too. Use public or shared transport where possible. Instead of hiring a car to reach your destination, try finding public transport and shared public transport. We have a group transfer from the airport or from the railway station to the starting point of our tours. Next, please. The footprint per person can be considerable. We must eat differently by offering greater plant-based choice and minimize food waste, as well as focusing on local seasonal products. We and also our partners, we belong to the Karelia à la carte, a chain of 80 different companies whose kitchens combine the latest gastronomy trends and the rich Karelian food tradition. Next, please. And then, of course, we offer also eco-friendly accommodation. We prefer smaller, more sustainable accommodations like guest houses and small boutique hotels, cottages, and these can actually emit 4 times less carbon than many 4-star hotel chains. So stay in eco-friendly accommodation. Next, please. And then know your partners, and we do so. We know all our partners because we use local companies, local guides. We know their products, their venues, their staff, so we can reassure they are not just greenwashing. And of course, we advise all our partners to take part in the Sustainable Travel Finland program. Next, please. Then I want to present you one of our most known tours. This guest house skiing tour has been a classic tour for many travel agencies in Central Europe, for example in Germany since 2001. And the travel agencies say that this tour actually is in thrower to their own products, and this tour allures customers to the travel agencies' programs and websites. The idea from getting from one place to another with your own muscle strength, only having the transfers from and to airport or from and to railway station, has been the guiding line, for example, for our UK travel agency. And the guests also prefer not mass tourism places, but authentic and peaceful surroundings with not many other tourists. They, of course, also want to meet the locals. But in our case, after the holiday, they count, our customers count that they have met nobody else along the skiing route, or maybe maximum 5 persons skiing the same route as them. So this is really an advantage for selling tours here in North Karelia. So we do not have mass tourism. And unfortunately, this tour is also the mostly influenced by the climate change. If our guests want to come to a skiing tour, so it's then no use of planning other substitute tours or programs if there is no snow here. Because really, if you want to ski, then you want to ski and you go there where there is still snow left. Next, please. We also cooperate a lot with the local people. So the nearest of them actually being the inhabitants of the village of our guest house. And we offer them our guest house and the nearby sports hall for sports, meetings and children events at reasonable price, in order to show them that we are here not just for tourists, but also for locals. And one very important part of the locals is that we have this skiing tour route, which is 70 kilometers from the first guest house to the 4th guest house. But that also means that we have 220 contracts with the land and forest owners. So we have a huge impact on the local life in winter here in this area. And we, of course, must follow the rules of the contracts and respect the land owners. Sometimes, of course, it can also go wrong. It happens that once we make the track unconsciously on the wrong place, and there you are. So next year you have to make a new route because the landowner does not give us anymore the piece of land for skiing. And it doesn't mean that only, for example, this 100 meters, but we have to do new route 5 kilometers or even more. So really, it's our choice. We have to respect the locals and behave as properly as possible. Next one. And also what we need to do as a tour operator, we have to do this ethical education. Our rules, for example, are what we also always emphasize for our guests in the summer now, when the summer season is starting soon. Stay in the marked routes, use only marked places for making fire, and not all the roads which lead to the shores of the lake are public roads. And respect privacy, the everyman's right, what we have here in Finland, that doesn't mean that you are allowed to make a break in every private quay. Next, please. And then a really nice quote from one travel blog of ethical tourism. Have respect for the people, the environment, the wildlife, and the destination you come into contact with. Other than the photographs you take, there should be no other trace that you were ever there. Okay, thank you. Kiitos. Dankeschön.